Haiti, the first country in the world to overthrow slavery, has been sinking for many years. All the metrics of a failed state are present there. Rampant criminality, rigged elections, gang supremacy, foreign meddling, drug-trading oligarchs, and now the assassination of their president.
Who did what and why is still hazy, but here's what we know. A president past his mandate was murdered in his home in a commando operation involving at least 22 people, 2 of them American, the others Colombian. The prime minister, who had already resigned, is now in charge, in a state of siege on the island. Beyond that, few people know, so it's best to turn to one who does.
Kim Ives is a journalist, editor, documentary filmmaker, and is an editor at Haiti Liberté. He is bound to know more, and he joins us now. Kim, welcome on board the Sputnik. I appreciate that the situation is hazy, even for you, but tell us what you know for sure and what you suspect we will know soon.
Wow, it's very hard to know for sure anything right now. It is an extremely confusing situation, but yes, your setup stated the facts that are known. We're pretty sure that this was a plot coming from the bourgeois sectors who were fighting with Jovenel. Basically, he had tread on the toes of some of Haiti's most powerful oligarchs, in particular a fellow called Reginald Boulos and another called Dimitri Vorbe. And there may be others involved. They were in a total war with Jovenel, and we believe that he had really crossed the line when, in the case of Reginald Boulos, he had issued an arrest warrant this past week and was on the verge of seizing his goods in the country, his bien, as they say, his factories, his ports, his you name it. And the guy is more than just a Haitian. I mean, he was born in America. He retained or regained his Haitian nationality at around 18, but he's really a transnational figure. You know, he sits at the Clinton Institute affairs that are held in New York, that kind of thing. So we think that, you know, he's a really primary suspect. But above all, the overarching thing is that there's a rebellion in Haiti's lumpen proletariat in the city of Port-au-Prince, led by a guy called Jimmy Cherizier, known as Barbecue, who has basically federated the lumpen proletariat in the shanty towns of Haiti into a force, a fighting force. And he has said, we are launching a revolution to take from you guys what is ours. He said, we're going to your banks where our money is. You give us no credit, but where our money is there. We're going to your grocery stores, the food you import, the food we produce, it's there, we have none. And we're even going to your car dealerships. And we've never driven a car off a lot, we're going to now. So this has totally panicked the bourgeoisie to see this revolution.
That's a fascinating tour of the horizon. There are 3 parties there in that script. One is the president, the other is the sections of the ruling elite in Haiti that had fallen out with him, even though he himself was a creature of theirs and governed generally in their interest, and the mass, what you call the lumpen proletariat, which is in millions in Port-au-Prince. That's the mother of all power struggles. Who's going to win it?
Well, that's really the $64,000 question, isn't it? Right now, the U.S. is playing hard to get, saying, well, we're reluctant to intervene, but we're expecting within a short period of time, we're going to see a 4th foreign military intervention in Haiti. 1915 was the first. There was one in 1994 to supposedly return Aristide, although in a cage. And there was another in 2004 to remove Aristide. So this would be the 4th foreign military occupation. The Prime Minister, Claude Joseph, or the acting Prime Minister, there are others, the drama gets very great in that domain. He has asked for not only US intervention, but he's asked the UN for intervention. So we'll see how that all plays out. But when they come in, George, it's going to really be a battle royale because already they fought with the so-called gangs back in 2005. The UN had a big war in Cité Soleil, the largest slum. They killed a lot of the leaders who were sort of, I could say, precursors to Cherizier. But now this lumpen proletariat has come back with a vengeance, and they're better armed now, maybe a little better organized. And so it's very hard to know how it's all going to end. The bourgeoisie, for sure, has a lot of resources, has a lot of weapons, but Haiti's people should never be underestimated. As we learned from its origin story in 1804, they beat the strongest army on the planet at the time, Napoleon's, and God knows what could happen next.
Napoleon is one thing, Joe Biden is another. If the US does intervene, Kim, what prospects of success could they possibly have? We're seeing the US military scuttling out of Afghanistan. Would they fare better in the slums of Port-au-Prince?
Well, that's just it. I think it would be a very difficult war for them. The Haitian people are really fed up with foreign military occupation. It's brought nothing but rape, repression, bombings, corruption. They don't want it. And I don't think the region wants it either. I think the CARICOM nations are fully against it. And Latin America, we have a mini pink tide 2.0 beginning. I don't know that they're going to like it either. So I think there's a great deal of obstacle. There's a lot of obstacles for Biden, and the U.S. troops, as Fidel used to say in Cuba, you can come, but you won't leave. So, I don't know. We'll see how they fare, but it's looking like it's going to be very bloody because I don't think they're going to come in and get the same kind of mild resistance that they got in 2004 and in 1994.
Was the assassination of the president the effect of national infighting, or is it part of a bigger international picture? In other words, should we be suspicious about the timing of his assassination? I know there are some stories of the street demonstrations in Cuba, which in numbers are nothing compared to the ones that Haiti has seen, of course.
Mm-hmm. Well, the international hand, there's really one of the murky areas. The U.S., I think, liked Jovenel and was reluctant to give him up on one hand because he was helping them with the fight against Venezuela. He was the front man, we could say, of the Lima group. They were putting him everywhere. So having Jovenel Moïse going against Maduro, calling him illegitimate when there was hardly a president in the hemisphere who was less legitimate than Jovenel, is one element to weigh. But on the other hand, as we know, the U.S. empire, when its puppets become unuseful, they often discard them. The same way they did with Trujillo in the early 60s. They did it with Diem in Vietnam, Trujillo in the Dominican Republic next door. And we can see other cases where they very unceremoniously and sometimes bloodily finish with one of their former servants. So was that at play here? I don't know. I don't think that Jovenel would have needed to be assassinated to be removed. I think, they would have said, here's a condo in Coral Gables, go stay there, and, job well done. And that's how it would have finished. But so I think there's more at play. And There's also been talk about his trip to Turkey, where he just was trying to set up power arrangements because one of the people that he's fighting with is oligarch called Dmitry Vorb, who had a power station which he tried to trim back the payments to because the Petrocaribe money that he was getting from Venezuela had been cut. And Dmitry Vorb was fighting him. So he was trying to set up something with Turkey. Apparently there were Colombians involved. So there's hard to know the full dimensions of the international element.
I did read, it may be untrue, that some of the conspirators took refuge in the Taiwan embassy, which would,
yes,
if true, be a kind of pointer, wouldn't it?
Yes. This is also another reason why I think the U.S. Kind of wanted to keep Jovenel as long as they could, because he had maintained, he's one of, I think it's only 16 countries now that recognize Taiwan as a nation. And Haiti is one of them. Most of them do not have a population over 2 million. I think there's only 2 or 3, Haiti and Nicaragua. But the fact is that Taiwan, of course, is starting to play a huge role, especially as in the run-up to this war with China. And so they certainly don't want to get anybody in there who would be opposed to Taiwan or opposed to their campaign against Venezuela. So, you know, this is part of the calculus that's going on in the State Department and Pentagon, of course, is if we do a transition, can we be sure that we don't end up with somebody who's soft on China or soft on Venezuela, much less get another Aristide or somebody who's a nationalist or even a revolutionary like Cherizier, who's, you know, looking to overthrow the whole stinking rotten system, as he calls it.
Absolutely fascinating tour. Thank you, Kim Ives, for coming on board the Sputnik.
Thank you.